he's improved steadily. The swing looks much more comfortable. And I think he was a youngster that was having some growing pains, you know, just kind of like still getting his coordination. You know, you can tell he's a bit taller than his brothers, and I think he's definitely going to be a player to watch out for.
So still just going through the preliminaries here before the action starts. We are here for 6 days. It's race to 9 in the early rounds, and if you're not familiar with the format that's standard for these events now, it's double elimination. So 32 players will come straight through undefeated. 32 others will survive to that stage despite having lost a match. And the earlier you go out on the main side, as it were, the more matches you have to win on the one-loss side to make it through to that final 64. And once we get to that stage, which will be by Thursday night, after that it's straight knockout, 1 round in each session, all building up to the final, where the inaugural Hanoi Open champion will be crowned. Subplots this week surrounding the Mosconi Cup, and the remaining automatic spots on the European and US teams will be confirmed.
Yeah, and a big congrats to David Al-Kidi making another Mosconi. It's kind of could have been overlooked with that news yesterday, but so interesting that 2 Spaniards are the first 2 on the blue side of things.
So off we go, and it's a dry break to start. Khau Quoc Tiep. The underdog, I think it's fair to say, going into this match against Nguyen Anh Tuan, is the better known of the ever-growing and ever-strengthening Vietnamese contingent on the world scene.
Yeah, and you know, there's so many pool rooms in Vietnam, and it seems like they're all large pool rooms, some of them 50, 60 tables. Of course, I haven't been to all of them. There's too many. What I'm getting at, there's so many players that it's kind of interesting here, of course. Nguyen being a big favorite, I think, in this match, just not knowing his opponent much. But you know, say these 2 are kind of like friends because you know they're both from the same country. You know, the underdog can get a little bit more comfortable in that situation if they're kind of buddies. But otherwise, if they're you know someone that don't know each other that well, might see a few extra nerves knowing they're playing one of the better players from here in Vietnam.
One thing I think we're definitely going to see this week is players who we don't know much about coming out and playing really well and getting a few wins and going on a decent run in the tournament, because they're very good players all around the world. They just maybe haven't ventured outside of their own countries and their own regions to play in these international events. I think we might see that change here this week with some players coming through and making a name for themselves.
Yeah, and Feliciano, of course, who got to the finals of that Sharks event. I never had seen him play in person. I was super impressed. He didn't have the final he wanted yesterday, of course, but I was very impressed. And I said, a player like that, the more and more he gets to play in these big events, the more and more comfortable.
I think we saw that in action at the European Open with Anton Raga, who's well known within the pool world, but hadn't played in many events like this at all, and ended up almost winning that one.
Yeah, that's 2 great kick shots to start for Nguyen. Now another one coming, I think. May have an edge on the blue 2 here. And you just arrived yesterday. Really, he's going for the edge on this blue 2 well. And really been a great crowd of fans. And like I said before, everyone working these events here from Vietnam. Just the welcome has been incredible. And the city is pretty sweet.
The friendliness of the people. I'd been told before I came here the people in Hanoi are so friendly, and wow, has that proved to be true?
Well, you can almost kind of tell on the streets the way they drive that they kind of got to get along a little bit, Michael, with all the scooters, and it seems like, you know, just buzzing everywhere.
You want to have your wits about you crossing those streets. We're only about 5 minutes away from the hotel here, but it's always an interesting journey.
Yeah, well, now a ball in hand given up, but it's funny, you know, in America we have Uber. course and some other type of ride sharing companies. Here they have one called Grab. And I took it, and you can actually get on the back of a scooter as your ride share, and that's what I did one night. It was a lot of fun. You would think it's a little scary, but it initially maybe is, but it was a lot of fun just being in that mix with all the people on the scooters and just seeing how it feels to be on one of those throughout the city.
Fairly unremarkable start to this opening rack. Ko Ping Han has now won that match against Wan Pi Hung, 9 racks to 3.
Yeah, we're not going to see it so much here on day one, but as far as table conditions, they seem great. Of course, we are in Southeast Asia, so you know the humidity is high, and I expect these tables to toughen up as the week goes. Okay, he's on one foul. You can see the balls are open, very difficult hit, but wondering if Nguyen gets the ball in hand here. Does he play this for the 3 foul, kind of putting the 2 down table, stitching him behind the brown 7? Nguyen is, like I said, assuming a pretty big favorite in this match. And the big favorites is they try to get in groove, get a little used to the conditions, knock a lot of balls in because they know it's going to get just tougher and tougher as they go. Yeah, this is, again, a different situation. These balls are pretty open. There is some work. I wonder if he's in a super tough match. Does he play for the 3 foul here? Nguyen knows as well as anyone what kind of favorite he is in this match against a fellow countryman. He's going to elect to try and run out and get the arm loose.
He's someone who's been around for a while. He was in the last 64 of the World Championship 10 years ago, and beaten by Antonio Babitza, who almost won the championship that year, was beaten in the final. He got to that stage again a few years later, so he's been kind of on and off the international stage, winning matches here and there, but has now become one of those players who turns up to most of these big international events.
Yeah, well, I've always felt his cueing is very good. I think he's not limited in any regards. Be a big shot maker. He showed us the power there on the 3 with hardly any angle, get to the side rail. I caught the rail first there, so he's not going to be so happy with that one. Should be okay though. Could go forward with this, but most likely the draw stroke just needs a little bit. 6 is open. Watch out, he's on 2 fouls.
That 3.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure the referee recognized that. So, in some other tournaments, let's say some smaller tournaments, Michael, where there isn't always referees right there, the player, your opponent has to notify you're on 2 fouls, right? I'm not so sure what rule they're playing there, but I believe it was up to the referee more, maybe just got slipped. And when you have a little time between, it can happen. You wouldn't be amazed how often players actually have an opponent on 2 fouls and don't recognize it and forget to inform them.
Yeah, so strange situation here, really, that we're still going in this rack.
Got a little past this, so he's got to make a decision. Do I want to go past the 8 or I want to take more of a cut? I like this, drawn to the side rail back over. You'll see the easy cue power. pinch it back an inch or two.
Strange track with the 3 foul situation, but it looks as though it's going to go the way of Nguyen Anh Tuan anyway. In a roundabout way, that's exactly what has happened. He leads 1-0. Feliciano, who you mentioned was in that final yesterday, has been in action already here today against Nguyen Hai Dang. 9-4 that one finished in Feliciano's favour. Again, some of the moments, well, that was very early on the rack.
There was a Q power on the 3, a really small angle, worked the ball easily.
Torsten Homan was behind earlier on against Vu Tuan An, but finished strongly, the 2-time world champion, to win 9-7. Omar El Shaheen, former world championship finalist, was a no-show, so the British player Andrew John gets through the opening match with a bye. Ivan Corteza beat Nguyen Tan Trung 9-2. What was going on over on table 2. Piers Labute, a semi-finalist in the Spanish Open. It's a 7-5 lead over Lo Van Hoan. Uranus, World Cup winner back in the summer, has won the first couple of racks against Kengo Suzuki of Japan. It's going on table 2. Follow all the action on that table on Matchroom Multisport YouTube. Carlo Biada will also get through his first match without having to hit a ball, as his opponent is a no-show.
Bit of a thick hit there on the one. Sorry, Michael. And one thing that Nguyen can certainly do him some favors is definitely trying to work on that break here in this opening match.
Yeah, he's had 2 now, both dry.
What I can see his opponent's going to go down swinging. I like that. You know, someone that's an underdog and probably by far the biggest event that they've ever played in. And I would assume so, anyways. And why not try and enjoy it out there? I caught a little thick, so the one's going to come up a little bit more than he wanted.
Yeah, it is obviously a very big deal from being on the main table in the early stage of the tournament, but got to be easier to do that in your home country than it would be if it was at, say, the US Open.
And most likely has some local support in the stands of some sort. You know, again, special moment for a lot of these Vietnamese players. Of course, this event coming here, now you get to play one of your country's very best. Not much offensively here. Looks like maybe he could play Kiss, the one off the 4. I think it is makeable with a high ball, meaning hit the cue ball in the high part of the cue ball, but he's going to stay away from that, just play a safety. And a good one at that. Looks like the 2's cut off the right rail. The 5 is very much interfering with the left side cushion. So got to be a little creative here and active at the same time. Big football stadium right down the road, or soccer stadium as we say in America.
It's a very popular sport here. I think Manchester United came here a few years ago. It was absolutely massive. Not had a huge amount of success in international football, but the game is hugely popular. So it's hard to understand why in a country with such a big population. But yeah, we're right next to the big football stadium. Someone said it's 40,000 capacity, something like that.
Yeah, well, I think it just takes time. I'm not so sure about how long they've been involved on that scene, that being Vietnam, but I think that's their #1 sport here. said, the atmosphere whenever one of their home soil teams play, or the country team from Vietnam, is just like something we've never seen before. They rated higher than like the Premier League crowds and all that around here.
It's been a funny sort of start for Khau, because you can sense much in his body language to suggest that he's not comfortable playing on the main table, but he's not really going his way so far. And of course, sometimes you see it when someone comes out and he can handle the situation, he's okay with playing in front of the cameras, and then a few things start to go wrong, it gets in his head, and it just becomes a bit of a landslide. But we're a long way from that happening yet.
Yeah, well, the more I look at him, I showed him a moment ago, the more I can start to feel like I've seen him in another event. Maybe, I used to come into Asia years ago quite often when I played. Maybe caught him in an event back then. Hard to tell the age, or sometimes with the Asian community. It's an absolute blessing on their end. Trying to open the 9. Very close to see if he got there. He's queuing awkwardly over that 9.
So what other countries in Asia have you played in over the years?
Philippines, of course, been there 6 or 7 times. Taiwan quite a bit. Probably been there 5 times through the years. Japan. We used to go there every year for pretty much a month, the entire month of November. Played 2 big tournaments, and then we'd tour the country playing a lot of challenge matches, and those kind of exhibition kind of things. But that's about it. But frequented those places for 5, 6, 7 years there, early to mid 2000s. And I've always enjoyed my time in Asia. Of course, one thing about it, when you travel the world playing pool, and you're appreciated for your travels. It seems like everywhere you go, but I think none more than the Asian countries. So those tighter pockets kind of rearing the head, and he likes to hit the ball in with speed. Of course, that was a jump, but you could see very well struck. Still stood up.
Yeah, the bigger pockets we had not so long ago would have been a different story.
Looks like he can get at the right side of the 2, or maybe a rail first. Probably catches a little piece of the 7, and now he's looking like he's going to play a kick shot to the right long rail. So it's funny. Ironically, he's on 2 fouls again. Nguyen, who had ball in hand just a moment ago, tried to open that 3-9 while trying to get position on the 2. Now another ball in hand. His first round on the races to 9. Those races to 9 will continue. You stay undefeated all the way to winner's qualification. Go to the 1-loss side, it goes to a race to 8 until we get to loser's qualification. It goes back to 9, and then the races will extend as the event moves on.
Yeah, we go up to race to 10 when we get to the last 64 stage. Like that for a few rounds, then race to 11 for the semis, 13 for the final. It's become the standard model really for these events.
Yeah, interesting there, and maybe again trying to get the arm a little more loose, understanding he's a big favorite. Could have played a pretty easy kiss shot on the 9 coming off the 3 there, especially with a big pocket, or he could kiss the 9 off the brown 7. Of course, the new schedule put in place kind of last year. These players will play again, win or lose today. keep winning, you'll have the day off tomorrow. Some who go the one-loss side may have to play a match tomorrow. It just depends on what part of the draw you're in. You can see, though, pretty good stroke. Now he's getting a little loose. Looks to be okay just going forward. Just going to watch the speed a little bit. Didn't expect that miss.
Maybe had a bit of good fortune there, leaving the difficult bridging over the 9-ball. A long way out, really.
Yeah.
Not great quality so far, JJ.
No, and kind of wonder, Nguyen, who hasn't been playing these World 9-ball tours, this is his first one of the year, I believe. Could be wrong here.
No, he's been playing.
Oh, he has been playing them.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, sorry about that, but maybe just doesn't have the focus at the moment.
Well, anything could have happened, really, in terms of the score in those first couple of racks, but what has happened is that they've shared them, and it's 1-all. This all-Vietnamese clash in the opening round here in Hanoi. See Khau Quoc Tiep breaking for the first time in just a moment. To Lian Han, part of the Singapore team that got to the World Cup final last year. He's beaten compatriot Aaron Justin Yip 9-5 within the last few minutes. Piers Labutus now on the hill, Lithuanian, who did so well in the Spanish Open. He's been around a while as we look at the decisive moments of that rack again. Labutus on the hill at 8-6 against Lo Van Swan. James Oranis, World Cup winner. I told you he was 2-0 up on Kengo Suzuki. We can double that now, it's 4-0. Sato Yoshioka, familiar name from Japan, 4-0 up on Mode Quisiari. Hunter Lombardo of the US in action, has lost the first 2 racks against Mai Pan Kong Bang of the host nation. Back to this one, it's 1-all. Both of the first 2 racks, nothing down off the break. The weather is humid, the breaks are dry. Well, the sort of shot to Nguyen Anh Tuan to get going here. Wasn't really in those first couple of racks. Man, he plays a shot like that. Get into the cue ball at all.
And again, they have to play again today. I mean, we got to feel like Nguyen's going to get it together here, but not doing yourself any favors, kind of losing concentration and putting a little doubt in the mind. Of course, that all comes sometimes certain mentalities. They can just say, "Oh, I'm too worried," But for the most part, I think it still can wear on you a little bit going forward.
As well as that, we've been talking a lot this year about how we're seeing more good Vietnamese players. We knew this event was coming up. He's been one of the main names from this country, and perhaps just feeling a little bit of pressure of expectation here.
Well, yeah, he certainly wants to play well. Definitely can can be a little pressure there trying to perform at your best.
Talk about home advantage in sports, and particularly in individual sports. It isn't always an advantage to people. It's how you respond to it. Again, of course, he is playing against another home player, but as you can say, he's the one who there'll be expectation on to perhaps do well this week. And so far, not exactly shining.
Trying to find some scoring here, which you can do at matchroompool.com. All the live scores. Just taking a scroll through, looking out. You usually have a great vantage point. It's not terrible or anything right here, but I see a few American heads across the venue that look like they're in action. Maybe just getting warmed up, getting ready for a match.
See Skylar Woodward there, who'll be part of your team in December. Very close to us. I think he's just getting warmed up for his match.
I tell you, it was so good to see Dennis Rakulo Hanoi Open. Love that guy, I always have. Looked like really good to me. Like all they've been doing in the Philippines since the pandemic started some things, but it's done wonders for so many players over there. And Dennis seems to be in form from what I've seen, so watch out for that man. RoboCop. Tell you what, don't want to fall behind. 9-ball pool's a funny game at times, and you talk about you can start to feel a little pressure if you win. That's certainly the situation you come up in. Tell you what, P.S. Labutus in a real tussle at 8-6 now. I've really been impressed with his game this year. Let's watch out for the cue ball here.
Nothing's not going to plan. Nguyen Anh Tuan won the first rack. He's lost 2 in a row since. Despite the dry break, Khau Quoc Tiep wins that one to lead for the first time at 2-1. Yeah, so Labutus we've mentioned on the hill. Kengo Suzuki has managed to get off the mark against James Aranis, but still well behind in the early stages there at 4-1. That was that good one ball that went potted at the start, but then didn't follow it up with a good shot on the 2. Back at the closing moments of that 3rd rack.
Pat Holtz, here from back in the UK, trailing 6-3 against Julian Saradilia, excuse me. I'll tell you, Michael, I'm the worst at scrolling through and finding the name I want. I thought I saw Shane Wolford in the venue. I know I saw him, but I thought he would be teed up pretty soon. Can't seem to find him on the board. There it is. Plays at 2 o'clock. It's a Vietnamese player. Lei Quang Hu. Hi, maybe? H-U-Y. Not sure about that pronunciation.
Well, back here, the trend continues. 4 racks in. Nobody's potted anything from any of the break-off shots yet.
Break is touchy. You know, if you're not so accustomed to it, you can watch another player that is accustomed to it. You can think, it doesn't look that hard. Actually, quite a bit to it. Taking on this shot, trying to go behind green 6. Very good. May have wound up a combination with the pink 4 into the middle. Close. Little trick shot, make it both balls. Looks like the 2 may squeeze by the 5 in the corner, but not easy, and it looks like it requires some speed to get on the 3. But could you tell right there a little more dead aim when he was down on the ball? Didn't pull the trigger near as quick as he has the first few games. Maybe had a little talk with himself after taking a 1-game deficit into their game 4.
Yeah, we saw him playing in the World Cup for Vietnam. That done well in one of the early World Cups, but nothing much to shout about since then. And this time with a lot of people saying, well, maybe this might be the year they do well again. And they did manage to win a match, beating Kuwait in the first round, and were 1 rack away from the quarterfinals before losing to the British pair of Sean Sanderson. He played with Khau Quoc Tiep in that. It's the first time he had played in the World Cup. Nguyen Anh Tuan since 2018, when with the same partner they lost in the first round to Spain.
Catch the knuckle there on the right middle. And now an 8-ball to a corner that hasn't been so friendly for winning this match so far.
Bit of recovery work to do there, but it's been done. So better signs in this rack from Nguyen Anh Tuan. He wins it to get level again at 2-all. Piers Labutus has got the job done against Lo Van Hoan. That one's finished at 9-6 in this opening round. James Aranis has won the 6th rack to go 5-1 up now on Kengo Suzuki. Sato Yoshioka continuing to stretch the lead, now 5-0 against Mode Quishiari. There's what you described as the trick shot from early on in the rack.
And really nice boot too right there. That'll give a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and he seemed to be lacking in confidence a bit with some of his early shots, so that was a bit of a test of it. From there he went on to finish out with a bit of fluency, although he got into a bit of bother here, which wasn't expected in potting the 7. Potting the 8 wasn't a formality, getting on the 9 certainly wasn't, but he managed to do both and then saw it out to level at 2-all. Hunter Lombardo's got work to do. He's looking to make your team for the Mosconi JJ. He's now 5-0 down to Mai Pan Kong Bang.
I was surprised not to see Hunter at the Perry Open. And, any Americans, any really players coming from abroad, not making that first event, and what an event it was. $104,000 purse, 25 up top. But of course took it down. But I mean, if you're coming here, I mean, what a tournament to get warmed up with, get acclimated. You really, of course, get to spend some time in Vietnam.
It's a long way to come when you've got the opportunity to play 2 big events. It makes it more worthwhile. It's surprising that anyone would choose not to come. Of course, what other commitments people have got going on. Hunter's involved in real estate on the side.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe something to do with that.
Yeah, of course. And then, the fall's always been a huge schedule, busy schedule for the players. And, there's a lot of stress out there. I mean, so you have to take, and schedule time off, a little relaxation. And before, there was always a lot of tournaments, don't get me wrong. As far as the quality size tournaments, before there wasn't that many big quality ones, so kind of the schedule itself allows you to take time off. But now you really have to pick and choose, and you have to understand yourself as well.
So no balls down off the break in the first 4 racks. In this, Nguyen Anh Tuan potted 2, and it looks as though he's going trying to turn that into a break and run.
And a quick one also.
Yeah. No, this is much more like it.
Yeah, a lot of nice cue action, a lot of easy power.
And so he leads by 3 racks to 2 in this opening round match in the Hanoi Open. So the last automatic spot to be decided on your team this week, JJ. You're going to be watching the maths and the figures, or just wait and see how it all shakes up, see who gets the place at the end of the week and take it from there?
You know, the figures, it's hard not to look at a little bit because they're shown, but I don't look at the figures that much. I really try to get as much time as I can seeing the players play. Of course, scores, whether it be a win or loss. Try and talk to the players and see what they're feeling about things. And, you know, and hopefully the players know they can always come and ask me and express that, since they're fortunate enough to get the chance at that job again.
I guess what's more important for you anyway is seeing who's in the right frame of mind in terms of captain's picks, because that's the thing you can control. That's the thing you have to make the call on.
Yeah, and that, you know, the thing about that is it's all about your mentality. And that doesn't mean you can't improve that mentality. You know, a lot of people say, oh, that's just him. I've never believed that. It's just like people say heart is something you're kind of born with or you attain early in life. And I don't think that's the case with that either. I think the more hard work you put in, you start to acquire more heart, more desire, and more fight. So. You know, just like I think Tyler Steyer was a name. I wouldn't say it was heart so much, but you know, he had a problem at times finishing those big matches after playing real well against the top players. And, you know, some would label he's just not that player to finish, and I totally disagreed. It just takes others sometimes a different path and a different amount of time to get to where they want.
So after the break worked out very well in the previous rack for Nguyen Anh Tuan, really more to what was going on earlier on. He scratched as well, so chance to make it 3-all. But you can't make some balls like that.
Well, that just kind of shows me, though, even though it wasn't struck perfectly on day one, you think maybe that goes a good portion of the time, but I think the tables are going to toughen up here quite a bit. Okay, maybe a rail first. He's got to kind of smooth it around the table if he plays that. He's going to play the draw strength. Again, Nguyen does have that power. Always will. Yeah, it's going to end up behind. It appears 5 not making things any easier.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because it looked to me as though he hit that pretty well, but got nowhere near really the position. Just underlines what a difficult shot he was attempting.
Yeah, anytime the ball's just so deep in the pocket, you have to come straight, you know, off of a full strike. Just imagine, you know, any sliver of off of dead solid contact is going to change the route of the cue ball. And they've got fortunate here kicking the 3 in.
Wasn't a million miles away from dropping in the side, but of course in this instance he wouldn't have wanted that.
No, not at all. And I think for him to focus on just shots like that, you know, it feels like he has a lot of room maybe with his opponent on some safeties, but you want to perform those as well as you can also. This is going to be, you know, a big second round match for Nguyen later today, assuming he gets by as a big favorite here. Nice hit, really nice. Great effort.
Yeah, it certainly was, but got the reward, so another chance. You can see the seats there behind Khau Quoc Tiep. It's actually out of shot as a decent crowd on this opening day. It's such a big venue, they're all spread out a bit. Later on in the week, I'm hearing the ticket sales are really good, so we're going to have a cracking atmosphere towards the finish of the tournament. But plenty of people here today, just all spread out. hole.
Yeah, well, there's so many stories in all these tournaments to start. You know, it's like we always get a couple guys that we know are incredible players that are just hitting the World Nine-Ball Tour for the first time, whether it be here or, you know, Spain or Germany or whatnot. So they set it up to where the fans can easily get around and see a match for 3 or 4 games, move over to another one for 3 or 4 games without disturbing the players, and do it comfortably. Nice shot there on the 6. Got to pay attention to this one. Yeah, it's a type of shot you can, if you're going to try and work the cue ball backwards, you can easily miss it. Surprised he didn't go forward, to be honest, and maybe play the 8 in the side. Oh, this is going to be a little close to the 8. I'll tell you, it's fairly pointed at the corner, but it's not dead straight. So anytime you're that close, you don't get that perspective like you do. These become also very missable balls. Nice shot.
Yeah, made that look very easy, didn't he? It was a routine 9. Well, really, I think you could say about this match, after 6 racks, the way it's gone, it could have been almost any score. The score that we do have is 3-all. Antoine passing up the chance there to get a bit of daylight and distance for the first time in the match. So level once again.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. You know, you got to realize it's not a lot about how you want to hit the ball, but more about what's needed. You can see that Nguyen, he likes to put a little speed on the object ball, and you got to realize you're not totally on target and really in form. You're going to miss some balls.
James Aranis was 4-0 up against Kengo Suzuki. Up there at the 7 that proved so significant. He missed. Only went Antoine. So yeah, Aranis was 4-0 up against Suzuki. Japanese player then won the next rack, but Aranis has responded by taking the next 2. So 6-1, and looks like a routine victory in the cards. Well, 7-1 now, as you can just see. That one going on table 2. Matchroom Multisport YouTube is the place to go if you want to keep an eye on the action there. At any point. David Massey, the British player, going well, 6-0 up on No Hong Tang of Vietnam. Hunter Lombardo's difficult day continues. He's now 7-0 down to Mai Pam Kong Bang. João Grillo of Portugal. He's up against Patrick Gonzalez of the Philippines, who's just leveled at 3-all there. The Reiser of the Netherlands with a 4-2 lead over Do Van Wang. Back here, it's 3-all. Another one is dry.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to get my eyes on too much of that first match. Didn't really get to see a lot of break shots, but I'm wondering if it's just maybe the table playing. You know, we talked about this, maybe not the last tournament, but we have talked about it, how on this one day the table seems to be breaking great, and the conditions just seem to change.
Conditions always play a big part in this corner of the world, don't they? Because you've got the humidity and it can be changeable from day to day. For that reason, it's a factor everywhere, but perhaps more so in this region.
Yeah, I've been here, let's see, 4.5, 5 days, and you know, I've seen California weather here, it seems like, here in Vietnam, and then I've seen you know, where I'm from, kind of like Houston, real sticky and hot a couple days, and one day a very nice breeze and a little stagnant the next.
It's been like this match, really, blowing hot and cold.
Right.
Neither players reached the point of fluency at any stage so far.
And I'll tell you, Nguyen Anh Tuan does not want this to get to like 5-5. You know, here they have, just like back home, I was talking to a few of the locals through the week, and you know, they have weekly events with like 128 players and whatnot, and they're short races, and the reason why they're so successful all over the world is because short races, the 9-ball, funny things can happen, and a player that's quite a bit the underdog can win. And essentially, you can kind of get to that point at 5-5 or even with a 6-5 lead, something like that. So this is the type of shot, very, very missable with some speed. Watch out for that right middle as well. Oh, really nice stroke. But you can see the ball biting pretty nicely even on day one. So that tells you about the humidity a little bit.
Yeah, if he is to avoid this one coming close, becoming a tense finish, this middle phase of the match we're in now is the time he's got to step it up.
You just got to forget about your opponent, really. You got to say, hey, this is about me, doing the right things, playing the right shots. You know, like right there, does he really jack up if he's playing, you know, another great player? Or does he roll it in, think about maybe even a safety if he doesn't like it? And just got to get the mind right.
So a certain degree of fortune with how that one's landed.
Sure missed old Phil Yates at the U.S. Open.
Did we, Jeremy?
Yeah, we did a little bit. I did. I love old Phil. I know you do too. And of course, Steve did a great job over there first
Steve
time.
Schlanger,
Yeah, with
stepped
the pull.
in for us at the US Open.
Absolutely. Scott Frost did a wonderful job as well in the booth. And I'm sure we'll see more of both those guys. But Phil's just a special one in my heart. I know he is in yours as well. Happy to see him back. Of course, we haven't got to talk about Carl too much.
He never misses anything.
Yeah.
These two players who've both missed quite a lot in this match so far. Tuan came in as a big favourite. At times he's made some good shots and shown brief bursts of fluency, but he is not asserting himself in the way we would have expected at all against a much less experienced opponent. He's back at the table now with a chance to lead again. It's a good shot here though.
Yeah, I fancy him to make it though. Really the open shot when it's been kind of a simple as far as the cue ball. I think Tiep can knock some balls in. Of course that one was difficult, just 9 feet away, 8-9 feet away.
So far is in no way a foretaste of what I'm pretty sure we'll see at the Hanoi Open this week. We've seen so many mistakes, balls missed by a long way.
Yeah, and I think every player kind of goes through this. What I'm going to get at is, you know, sometimes play a little down or up to your competition. Thing with Nguyen, he's been around a while, so this is something he needs to kind of process and maybe rethink a little bit. Like I said before, you got to get really involved in yourself. He's got the tools.
Yeah, he would have come out here onto the main table today. He doesn't have a huge amount of experience of himself, but some, wanting to really show the world what he can do. Hasn't happened that way so far in the match, so for the moment it's really just all about the numbers and getting the win. He is back in front now at 4-3. James Aranis now 7-2 up on Kengo Suzuki. So that was 7-1, so Suzuki's got one back there. Sato Yoshioka is leading 7-1 against Mose Krishari. American Max Eberly 4-3 up on Trang Minh Dung. Massey on the hill now at 8-0 against No Hong Tang. João Griot, Portuguese player who's had some good results this year. As we see the clinching 9 there in that previous rack. Griot 4-3 up on Patrick Gonzalez of the Philippines. Sharik Saeed of Singapore is going along nicely with a 5-0 lead over the British player Carrick McDougall. Very strong field here as you look down through the draw. Nearly all of the biggest names in the global scene are here, and that's becoming more par for the course at these big events these days. Nguyen Anh Tuan in front of 4-3. Yet another dry one.
What do we have? One ball to break the entire match?
Well, how can I phrase this? There's been one rack in which we've seen there were 2 balls that went down.
Right.
That was the break and run. But yeah, that's the only rack in which anything's been potted from the break.
Yeah, I think Tiep did scratch and breaks. Cue ball got lost one time, and the opposite balls went far and few between.
Nguyen Anh Tuan has been getting through the early rounds of tournaments pretty efficiently. And we have seen him on the world stage this season. Actually got to the last 32 of the World Championship this year. Made it to single elimination at the UK Open in London, Spanish Open in Lugo, and then the US Open in Atlantic City just a couple of weeks ago. Didn't get any further at any of those, beaten in the last 64 of all of them. You've got to play some good stuff and get some results even to get that far in these events though.
Yeah, absolutely. Your second round match can certainly be a 50-50 match. And then again, the qualified period, you're going to have to be a really good player. You know, the goal for these great players, of course, is to win 3 matches. But the first 2 put you in a good position where you win the first 2 matches, you're going to have to win 1 out of 2 to qualify. So, and then, you know, and if you think about it long term, Michael, a lot of players will say it's just as long as I get in. And like Shane Van Boening says, I want to get in undefeated, because I know if I do that more and more, I'm going to draw a little lighter overall because of the way they do the redraw.
Well, he got sent to the one-loss side, of course, at the US Open. Got through it, but then work out for him. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Shane's pretty honest about that, straightforward about that. That yeah, he could have probably or maybe drew an equal player changer alone, maybe a little tougher, you never know. But odds are, if he goes in there undefeated, he gets something a little lighter than changer.
That's it, yeah. Marco Torture, though, had beaten him in the initial phase of the tournament. So Van Boening still looking for that record-breaking 6th US Open, out in the last 64 for the 2nd year in a row there. And all back here, his home event, Tan, looking to become the first player to lead by more than a single rack at any stage of this contest. We've said he's been getting through the early rounds of these tournaments. Jeremy, a lot of last 64 defeats, did get to the last 32 of the World Championship. It's very hard to obviously get to that level, but then the next phase you want to get to is where you're starting to appear in last 16s and maybe getting to quarterfinals or whatever. So would you have seen anything in particular in his game that you feel he needs to work on to make that step? Sometimes it can only be a little thing that makes such a big difference.
Well, I'll tell you what I feel is if you learn the different conditions, it usually ends up helping your technique. What I mean by that, just like the 70 shot, and I said, hey, you got to pay attention to this. And the reason why I said that is because I knew the way he likes to hit the ball. He likes to hit the ball with speed. It just feels good to him. Something he just prefers. But once you start to learn, hey, I need to start hitting this ball a little cleaner, a little lighter, that starts to help you with your stroke a little bit, and again, increase your percentages. So maybe understand and learn a little bit more about the equipment, the way it's playing.
He's just starting to take control to a certain degree in this match. That's 4 of the last 5 racks he's won now. And Nguyen Anh Tuan goes a couple clear at 5-3 in this opening round of the Hanoi Open. Arana 7-2 up on Kengo Suzuki of Japan on table 2. We'll look back on some of the moments there towards the end of rack 8 on this table. Pier Francesco Garzia of Italy 6-0 up on Ta Trung Dung from the host nation. Damien Massey still on the hill, looking for one more against No Hong Tang, the British player leading 8-0. Sharik Saeed now 6-0 up against Britain's Carrick McDougall. Tim de Ruyter edging towards victory, the Dutch player 7-2 up on Do Van Quang. I mentioned Shane Van Boening there, he'll be in action a little later this afternoon. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz actually got through his first match with a bye. So, start his participation in this event against Sung Lik Chio a little later. So another break that hasn't gone to plan. Second time he's scratched, in fact, in his last 3 break-off shots. A decent chance here for Khau Quoc Tiep. Needs to get back into this. Was 2-1 in front early on, but only won 1 rack out of 5 since then. Yeah, it doesn't feel at the moment like the sort of match where someone's going to go on a big run and turn it round, and particularly not as the underdog. So, big moments these. If he goes any further behind on the match, suddenly it starts to look like a very big task indeed. And, you know, I said it was a decent chance. It's as though he may have passed it up here unless he can recover the situation. It's a big shot. He didn't really get close, and looks as though he's going to leave the 4 on. So the positional error on the previous shot, I'd say, perhaps the most significant moment of the match so far. Now Nguyen Anh Tuan, he's been starting to assert himself a bit without playing well, but he's been winning the racks. He can really press that home.
Touchy one though here, small angle into a very small side.
Well, that was a classic case, wasn't it, of a shot that was actually much more difficult than it might have appeared at first glance. Played it well. If you potted it, the cue ball was always likely to land on the 7, the path it was naturally going to be taking. So again, we've said this, that he's shown short bursts of fluency in this match, and this perhaps has been another one. Might not have been expecting to get to the table as early as he did. But now he is stepping it up a bit. I think it's fair to say the events of the last couple of minutes have probably been the most significant juncture of this match so far. Nguyen Anh Tuan now 3 clear, and that's 6-3. Needs 3 more to advance.
Said he likes to put a little more authority on the ball from time to time. Kind of feel like it's a player that can hit it very high here at times, but you know, that's not really a goal. I don't think he turns the pool very often for a few reasons. pace that doesn't really offer a high perspective. You have an opponent that's trying to slow you down at all times, whether it be game safe or whatnot. But it's much more about steady. And then you kind of start to develop into that gear without even knowing by just work and not thinking of mistakes.
Lombardo, the American player who's been challenging to get into the Mosconi team this year and has been building his year around that quest. He's had a big setback. He's lost 9-0 to Maipan Kongbang, one of the sizable home contingent. Damien Massey, British player, has won 9-0 against No Hong Tang of Vietnam. Zhao Griot 6-3 up now on Patrick Gonzalez, and Sharik Saeed just a couple of away from victory over Britain's Carrick McDougall. That one is 7 racks to 0 now.
Very surprising score. He's had a pretty solid year overall. It seemed to be steadily improving. Hunters, it just doesn't vary too much. Just a real consistent player, it seems like. Really has had a lot of tough matches this year, which continue. Lost a lot of close ones. It's a lot of great players. The break's been super difficult here. Table 1 in this match 2. First will be 4 more matches on this table. So we'll pay attention to the break. Really nice safety here. Leave the partial hold. Just getting over 3 and 8 on the left side. Yeah, could be a bit of a long game. With that is when you don't get the snooker, look at the 4-5-8-3. It's a big wall for Nguyen Anh Tuan to keep up as it should. Try to bank the one up near the 2-6 here. It's pretty natural. Effort. Really good. A little unfortunate to fall straight on the 2. Going to be stretched. Difficult to get some kind of better look at the red
3. Relatively quickly passed up his chance in the previous rack. Really now it's 6-3 down. He's getting to the point where he needs to make opportunities like this count. Promising enough start in terms of the score anyway. Slipped away from him slowly, but yeah, quite emphatically.
One of the harder shots on the bridge going forward with the running English like that. Not much good. Very impressed with that shot. Roll the ball across. Like I said, it seems like there's not a ton to do with the cue ball. It's falling pretty nice. Richard comes along with that mistakes.
to do here. See, build himself up for the shot. Avoid putting that extension on, you can see. To do it in the end. This is difficult.
It's been one of the best racks for him so far. Actually, probably hit it better with the check English than he expected. Tried to go in between the 8 men. This one's hard because it's, I mean, it is thin, but it's not thin, so thin to where it's easy to go up and down the table. So they play to the back side of the ceiling here off a couple of cushions. Watch out for the scratch and go around. Really nice. It's going to end up on the 50, but it's just kind of play the shot lead.
But himself, difficult 8 now, and arguably his biggest, most important shot of the match so far. Really needs to win this rack, you would feel, the way this contest is panning out. Never really threatened with the 8.
Close.
Seems to be shaping up that way. Yeah, ooh, that's not a bad rail first shot. Now, is it going to run for him? Yeah, settle for that, I think. Yeah, he had passed up a good chance in the previous rack to get back to only one behind. Really couldn't afford to let that one pass him by. Played the good shot on the 8, landed nicely on the 9, drills it in. So still battling away in this contest. Only 2 behind at 6-4. The key moments of the rack once again. JJ Fall, the South African player, going along nicely at 7-2 against Nguyen Van Dung. James Aranis on the hill now against Kengo Suzuki, 8-3. Pierre Francesco Garcia, also just looking for one more. Potential 9 attempts to do it because he leads Ta Trung Dung 8-0. Max Everly, the American player, 5-3 up on Trang Minh Dun. Zhao Griot has a 7-3 lead over Patrick Gonzalez. Sharik Saeed coasting at 8-0 against Britain's Carrick McDougall. It's almost past the point of commenting on the dry breaks now because they've become so commonplace in this match. Tim de Ruyter of the Netherlands, incidentally, is another player on the hill against Do Van Huang. 8-2 there, table 12. It's one of those places wherever you're traveling, unless it's maybe Australia, everywhere is far away, isn't it?
But that shocked me. Hard to tell. There'll be a small gap between the 9 and 6 to get at the warning.
I've seen a few shots like that in this match where the ball has ended up dropping on the side, but not there, so chance to get back to only one behind in a match that looked to be slipping away from Khau. Come 2 rails underneath the draw stroke, that's not bad. Had the guard a little bit. This match can really start to become a sweater when on time. Can get out here. May not have to get out. Maybe a 6-9 kiss shot on the side. That's what we're going to see here. Just a few shots. There we see it. 4 goes. But the 4 goes up long. Not a real problem getting something before. It's just one.
He's going to have to draw back the short side. The kiss shot on the 9. I don't think he can get at. Now, is the 6-9 pointed in the direction of the pocket he's shooting the 5 in now? It's fairly close. Just a little speed control with the draw stroke. It's real nice. I'll tell you, I've been there in this situation as a big favorite. You can start to feel a lot of heat at a 6-5 scoreline going in there, especially in the first round.
Khau Quoc Tiep is starting to look calm as he has at any stage of this match. It looked to be slipping away from him at 6-3. He'd lost 5 out of the previous 6 racks at that stage in a match that looked to be heading away from him. It's now one that he's right back in with a chance of winning, and he looks to be relishing the situation.
Yeah, not backing down, just wanting to knock some balls in.
It's a very different contest now. There's only one behind at 6-5. James Oranis, who pretty close to getting to the final of the Perry Open, which has just finished here in Hanoi, another ranking event. He's come here and started with a 9-3 win over Kengu Suzuki. Here, Francesco Garzia of Italy shouldn't be far behind, 8-0 up on Ta Trung Dung. Sato Yoshioka of Japan is another winner, 9-1 over Mode Kushari. And a lot of winners actually in the last few minutes. Damien Massey, the British player among them, 9-0 over No Han Tang. Sharek Saeed also winning 9-0 against Britain's Carrick McDougall. Tim de Ruyter as well has just finished off 9-2 against Do Van Huang. So a lot of matches finishing up around now, which means a lot of others just starting. Shane Wolford, Johan Chua, Shane Van Boning, all among those starting out their Hanoi Open campaigns around now. Sometimes when a match looks to be slipping away from a player, particularly one who wasn't expected to win anyway, it can free him up a bit. Do you think maybe we're seeing that here?
Yeah, I think I started to see it a couple of games ago. Like when he was down 6-3, I think it was just kind of, all right, you know, let me just get to knocking some balls in, like I said, and he looks more comfortable than Nguyen at the moment, you know, in comparison of the two players' games.
Well, that's 5 times Khau has broken in this match. Dry every single time.
Sizing up a 1-8 combination, maybe. Now this looks a little haphazard, but it's laying okay. Really, where it lays doesn't matter. Otherwise, it should be something like cross the 1 over, try to go behind the 7, maybe. Very difficult shot. I think Nguyen realizes these balls are open, and Tiep showed him he can get out if they're open. Nice effort there.
Shane Wolford, who I mentioned there, JJ, just starting out. Did I hear he's rooming with you this week?
Yes, he is. All the scoops, huh? Well,
Just saw the list of room bookings, so didn't exactly require the instincts of Colombo to figure that one out.
Colombo. Did you like Colombo?
No, who didn't like a bit of Colombo?
Well, yeah, my dad loved it. So many of the detective shows from back in the day, I sat and watched with my father as a young boy.
It was always a staple of afternoon television when I was growing up. BBC.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Afternoon.
I wouldn't say besides maybe a Sunday with football, my dad ever watched TV during the day. He just worked so much. But it was more nighttime for us, catching up on reruns maybe. And, Kojak was another one that Dad loved. There were many, actually. There was The Murder, She Wrote. think there's another one from the 80s.
Yeah, it's big all over the world, really.
Yeah, and then, dang, what was the one that lasted a long time? I think he didn't like the show that much. He was just a big fan of Andy Griffith. It was Matlock? Is that one? Remember Matlock out there?
Oh, yeah.
I watched a lot of Mayberry. Growing up with Opie and Andy Griffith and Aunt B and all those characters.
It's amazing we've gone from Shane Wolford starting his Hanoi Open campaign to the history of detective shows in the space of a couple of minutes. You don't get this stuff anywhere else.
Alright, trying to open up a little bit more of a lead and a little more comfortable as this match gets a lot closer to 9 games. And of course, still a big favorite from here. Can't really afford any big mistakes.
They're all crucial at this stage of a match like this. This one certainly was. He lost 2 in a row. Big one for Nguyen Anh Tuan to get under his belt. He goes 2 clear again at 7-5, and now at that stage where the winning line is just starting to come into view for him. Boy, it's been hard work getting to this stage. So I believe we're going to take a short interval now. Moments that got us to this current juncture of 7-5. Nguyen Anh Tuan looking for 2 more to advance this opening match in the Hanoi Open. Perhaps I was misinformed. I think we are pressing ahead with the contest. So back to it then, 7-5.
Really unloading a lot underneath that break. It's amazing. There was another dry break besides the white ball.
3rd time he scratched off the break. More from his last 5 attempts. It's funny though, overall, Jeremy, we see matches across Q Sports where players are fluent early on, and then when it's getting a bit close and the winning line is coming into view, they start making unexpected mistakes. This has been the other way around, really, that they seem to be playing better and having fewer errors as it goes on.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a, Nguyen wake up a little bit, and I think maybe, Tiep, what's he going to do if he gets a lot of games on his side, right? It's only going to do wonders for him. And he had to knock some balls in doing it. Of course, a few of them were just cleaning up a couple of racks, but then we saw him also clear a couple as well. So. And he's in a nothing to lose kind of situation. So, I mean, if he gets games on his side, I kind of expect him to get a little bit better as it goes. And we'll see if he gets really close towards the end and how he responds. He's got to make a nice shot here. Not much angle on this. He's getting all the way back down table. He's hitting a high ball from between the 7-8. But you can see he can do things, so it's not just like, oh, let me knock in the easy ones. He can work the cue ball, make pretty smart decisions, come between the 7-9 one rail here. The other way, now he's going to have a hard time getting shape on maybe the green 6 and a more difficult shot on the purple flag.
settle for that, and even the way he played it reflected a growing level of comfort that he's feeling out there.
Just making shot after shot. Needs us to slow down. Now, the decision, do you go for the bank? I kind of like it. Safety's not hard though either. See enough of this to kind of knock it up table. Trying to put 2 rails behind the 9. A really nice play. You can see this ball. But again, clipping it from some 7 feet away is almost 8 feet away, really. Very difficult to maintain the 7 near the cushion as you run the cue ball up the table. Oh man, what a hit. Really actually caught it thinner than he expected, trying to come 2 rails behind the 9. Now a touchy one for Nguyen Anh Tuan.
Massive moments these, down to the last few balls. Rack 13. 8-5 and 7-6. I mean, it's just hard to find the words for what a difference it is between those two situations.
Yeah, and what if the break changes as well if he gets it to 7-6 for Tiep? Can he play the kiss here and softly lay the 7 by? Oh, wow. That's going to give up ball in hand.
Sign when you see a player returning to his chair talking to himself. Not surprising, given the way this contest. I have to say, he was a long way from making contact with the 7 there. So fairly routine. Khau to get back. Again to only 1 behind. Was 6-3 down. He's now won 3 of the last 4. So Nguyen Anh Tuan still in front. Now by just the 1 at 7-6. Totally different sort of match for Pier Francesco Garcia on table 23. The Italian has now finished it off at 9-0 against Ha Trung Dong. Johan Chua, World Cup winner, just starting against Young Man Duk. Alexa Pechelge, who got to the semi-finals of the US Open about 10 days ago. So just getting underway, so we'll keep an eye on him. Max Eberle, the American, still edging towards victory, 7-3 now over Trang Minh Dun. Xiao Brio pushed hard by Patrick Gonzalez. Brio's had a good year. He needs 7-5 there, the Portuguese player. That's about all there is to report around the hall at this moment. Well into the first day's play now in the inaugural Hanoi Open. So once it was ball in hand, it's just a case of not doing anything unexpected really from Khau Quoc Tiep. 3 balls later, he's back to only 1 behind. Anyone's contest from here now would be a really good time to finally make something off the break. half a dozen attempts now. He still hasn't.
There's a 9-ball kiss shot possibly here. I don't think that's what he's playing. He's going for the pocket on the 1 and now an open table. What happens is you start to. Seems like things may go against you as a favorite, even though he has a shot here, right? A little bit, open table until you get to that 7, which is a ball he's missed in a similar position earlier in the round. If he doesn't gain good position, what happens is the pressure starts to really get on you. You kind of feel like, what have I done to myself here in this match? Really kind of making a lot of mistakes that not only shouldn't happen, but something he usually doesn't do that much of. So we'll see as this rack goes on. Just kind of wonder with the 6 there and the 8 if something funny's going to happen in that position. Maybe the cue ball gets over the 8 if he's coming off the 6, something like that. I've been involved in a lot of these myself and ended up on the wrong end. So you just kind of feel those things coming. You've seen it in other sports, golf, where that big underdog is hanging around and hanging around and hanging around. And just one of those peculiar things happen. Long putt is made. Wai Yang is the one that comes to mind with me with that PGA back in
09.
Yeah, 09. I just felt like something was coming because Tiger didn't separate himself. I think it was number 15. He chipped in for birdie and kind of went on to win the tournament from there. Like here, he's gotten a little out of line. He's got to put a big draw stroke on this. Like I said, if the cue ball gets over the 8 a little bit, it could be a little funny. He's actually gotten in a great position. But is he going to fire this one like he did earlier in the match, or is he going to play a little more pocket speed? Definitely a little lighter.
Well, this is about as well as he's played, really, at any stage of the match. Once that 7 was in and he was on the 8, always likely that it would end this way. So it's not been routine by any means. Finally, Nguyen Anh Tuan has made it to the hill first. Leads now 8-6. Will be breaking. Looking for one more to go through. Now 7-5 up against Patrick Gonzalez. That's one of the matches heading towards a finish at the moment. Max Eberle edging towards victory for a long time, but still needs a couple more against Trang Minh Dun. That one is 7-3. This was the good work that Nguyen Anh Tuan did. A couple of challenges to overcome here. Shot really getting on the 7. From there, the hard part was done. JJ Fall of South Africa, regular at these events, on the hill against Nguyen Van Dong of Vietnam. 8-2 in that. One more needed then for Nguyen Anh Tuan.
Got the ball down. Finally, the one in the side. Well, got an awful kiss to the top rail. I don't know if you can get a little bit of the blue too. Maybe so. Good look, hopefully, anyways, at this delicate safety. Barely getting to the rail. Not enough pace to get the snooker, though.
It looks as though Shane Van is through without hitting the ball, because I'm seeing here on the monitor in front of me indicates that the scheduled opponent was a no-show. I don't know if you know anything about that, Jeremy, or if Shane was aware of anything before the match. I know we talked to him a lot, but either way, he seems to be through.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning for a few minutes. He didn't know his opponent. I think it was a qualifier maybe, and so, of course, you never know. Things, situations come up all the time, and even more so these days. I think unfortunately he didn't get to play that match. Probably a big favorite against a qualifier. But the thing about a qualifier is it's, you know, unlike some of these players that in this open event just paid the entry fee, they had to play some matches to get in this event. So a bit more dangerous. They get a little 9-ball action here off the bottom of the 3. I'm going to buy it, but a really nice shot. He's going to make Nguyen Anh Tuan earn it.
Just going back to the break there, remarkably, rack 15. It's only the second time I've seen someone make something off the break.
Yeah, and maybe that's as good an indicator of where we've had some struggles here, because, you know, no matter the level, you know, all players seem to kind of spin off that break shot in 9-ball pool, whether it be they feel better about themselves, the energy it gives you. It's just the first shot of every rack, and not only that, a little easier layouts with less balls on the table. Big shot here, pretty natural, and one he should get down. He's overcut it.
If that one goes in, it suggests, particularly after what we saw in the previous rack, that could have been the end.
Yeah, if he makes that ball, he's in better position on the purple 5. Probably definitely clears the rack. I was going to go for this. Probably the safety, you would figure. Watch out for a little kiss on the 9. Could be problems with the cue ball. He's okay. Decision on him. I don't know if we want to cut at this. Not a favorite to make this one. Could leave a somewhat easy opportunity for his opponent.
He's played a good shot there, but needs another decent one here. Under the pressure of knowing if it goes wrong, it could be the end for him in this match.
He needs some power too to get by the 7.
All of those things combined to make him miss it. He's pulled up maybe just in time to not leave an easy one.
Yeah, I talked about that earlier, that he had a few racks where he got the arm a little more loose, but it seemed like when he really had to do a little more, maybe that's when the ball pocketing suffered a hair. That's a nice touch. Good speed with the cue ball.
Now Khau under real pressure here. 5 balls really out in the open. Leave a chance from this, and it could be all over.
Don't really see the point in the jump cue. I guess maybe trying to bank it in. You're not going to try and cut this ball. You would think the kick is not hard. Great hit, meaning as far as holding the cue ball up the table. Always was going to be difficult, not only to get to make, you know, some kind of safety. Stroke, which I've said that from the start, that, you know, Nguyen really carries a lot of power. I think if there's one thing he needs to work on is a little more of the medium and the little finesse shots at times.
we always say it, don't we, when someone goes into a match like this as the underdog, they can take losing. The thing that's always hard to take is if they know they've had enough chances really to have won the match, and it's been the case for Khau Quoc Tiep here. He did lead at one stage at 2-1. And then steadily, Nguyen Anh Tuan made quite a few mistakes himself early on, turned it round. 5 of the next 6 racks to lead 6-3 again. Khau Quoc Tiep came back, got back to only 1 behind at 6-5. He again trails by just a single rack at 7-6. From there, Antoine made a dash for the line. A lot of mistakes early on. I think they both played better really as the contest proceeded. And Antoine is the winner, 9-6. Khau Quoc Tiep will go to the loser's side.